Okay, everybody. How we all do today? Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Oh, I can hear myself. That's not good. How's it? Can I still hear me? Shouldn't be able to hear me. I can still hear me. Dang it. Alright, let's close that. I don't want it going. Where is this? Ah, right. Right. Okay. I think. Yeah, mute. There we go. Yeah. Got me all muted and stuff now. Okay. And then... we're here now. We're doing the things. Alright. And, oh, I forgot to... I didn't fix that part. There's still a delay between my mouth moving and the audio. Whoops. I guess I can only fix one thing at a time before streams. My bad. I forgot that one. Didn't make it to my checklist. Well. Oof. Alright, we are on part 3 of episode 29 of D-Unit. Starring Jen Bearberry as the colorful spectrum. Aha, really loud? Yeah, for some reason it is really loud. Like, I have the music, like, fucking muted on every fucking thing, and I assumed it was just in my ears like that. I mean, that should make it quieter. I don't know why everything was perfect yesterday. I didn't have to adjust any volume levels anywhere. And then today, it's all fucked up again. But that should be better as is. Let me go ahead and go to the Rio link and make sure that that's not draining a battery real fast. We'll full screen that. And then we'll go back to the auto program. Yeah. Which there is a way to mute music for you guys, but then it's all quiet and just talking. What do you mean my last video, Cody? Do you mean on YouTube or do you mean on Twitch? Because I have no notifications of that. Let me go and check what you is saying real fast. Mute. Boopity boop. And then Twitch. And then... Huh. Weird. I wonder what parts. I can't even, where do you even find the videos? They change everything fucking around so much. Pardon, please. Videos. Oh, you gotta click the name. Yesterday. Oh, stuff at the very beginning, huh? It's just the very beginning. That's not a problem. Yeah, it's just some music at the beginning. Which is weird because I'm using Twitch provided music for my streams, so whatever. Yeah, it'll show you on the progress bar before you click on it what portions of it were muted. It shouldn't have been. That is, yeah. Well, you know, it's probably because I had it so ungodly loud. Like, this stream should have the same issue with it being that loud. Alright. Part 3. Who's ready? I've already truncated silence, and it is down to 21 minutes for part 3. We'll throw all of that into a folder, and then we'll jump on into Crone of Peebles Ranch. And then once the stream ends, because I don't have a secondary computer for it, then I'll start rendering that video and get it rendered tonight and probably uploaded tomorrow morning. It'll be alarm clock, upload video, and that kind of stuff. Because of the, by the way, no one's made any comments on the new background for the videos. Like, what's up with that, guys? Like, give me some feedback. Anybody like it? They dislike it? What's going on with that? Does anybody even watch those, or is it just me? Doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and start.
Recording.
Oh, we got both of them this time.
Yeah.
So you guys head up to the third level?
And just for the sake of humor, I put myself on the spectrum analyzer. Listen, you can stay still. All right, whatever. My green screen's wafting in the wind. That's fine.
So you guys head up to the third level?
Kind of waiting back for Violet's message from the Baron, if he responds to that.
What did she say to the Baron?
She had informed the Baron that the blacksmith shop was acquired and asked if there was a faster mode of transportation throughout the city.
Oh. I'm sorry I didn't catch that. He answers back, no, not really. Besides walking or animal.
So let's just see how many people are at the gate and go from there.
Worth a shot.
I'll fly a little ahead. I'll fly a little ahead. If it's alright if Russell joins me, he can relay everything back to you, Orin.
Alright, hold on, let me just gently wake him as I bring out a different sack, fill it with water, put him in it, and shake. What?
I'm gonna need your help, Russell.
Oh, hey, baby, what's up? Sure thing. Just give me a moment. Orin, you're gonna have to clean out the back. So where are we going, babe? As he flies into the air.
I take flight behind Russell as Rylet and just stay a little ahead of the team as we head up towards the third level so we can relay back how many guards there are.
I will try to discreetly dump the bag of water with bird poop in it.
Give me a sleight of hand. Give me a sleight of hand.
Oh, 18.
You managed to do it in one of the alleyways without an issue. You guys are walking. So, Violet and Violet and Russell get up to the third level. Violet and so Violet and Russell get up to the third level and
every time I hear Duck Goggle, like, oh yeah, fair.
So Violet and Russell get up to the third level and there is 2 guards at the checkpoint of the steps.
Oh boy. Alright. Well, there's 2 people there. So we can try handing off masks with the birds. Or we can try Operation Drink More.
There's also the option. Hold on. Since I have myself in the spectrum analyzer, can I change the color of it? No, I can't change the color? Oh. It sucks. Misunderstood. There's also the option to walk through with much prejudice. So,
I'm sort of hoping that we can avoid the Creating a scene. Creating a scene.
Yeah, I want to avoid that as well, but, you know, if that's our last option, it's still an option.
Alright, so I'm afraid to ask, but would we like to see if we can do this without birds, or should we try masks and one by one? Or I guess 2 by 2.
Oh, and CeeLo, can you fly with those wings? And how high can you fly if you could just... Well, as a matter of fact, Cody, I'll have you know that Doc posted in the attendance for this game his took one of those character alignment surveys, and he is chaotic evil. So, yeah, he might have said misunderstood, but we all know. We all know. We can bypass as many as possible.
I've never really tried, but I believe they're just for decoration.
No, just like mine. Well, Oren and Violet, you guys don't exactly have much people knowing about you in this town. You could be like escorts, and I think Crimson's pretty safe. I think it's just CeeLo and I that need to try it.
If not for Oren's connection to the Cobalt Soul, I believe you'd be right.
Oh, right.
And our last escapade.
Oh, how'd that go? I was in a hole. Do you think they remember your faces?
You know, that's a good question. How many of them lived?
Most
You know,
of them.
actually, yes.
Most
You know,
of them.
actually,
Most of them.
yes. We did not kill anyone, of course.
Well, there's the one that fell off the staircase, and then there was, well, he sure isn't remembering. Poor guy.
So let's see if I can distract them, and hopefully only. So masks or attempted escort service.
Well, I kind of don't want to take your mask. This cloak of mine, though, it's brand new. It's from level 1. It looks all dirty and stuff. I think I could walk real slow and, you know, make it look like I'm an old man and, you know, that kind of stuff. It's possible to slip by them. Nothing else, we could just at least test them to see if they're really paying attention to old people. You can also have Russell poo on the back of this cloak, because I don't plan on keeping it forever. Make it look like a destitute old guy. That way, going to the 3rd level, that's probably not a good idea. That won't work at all. They'll shoo me down the stairs and stuff, so... yeah, maybe the mask thing is going to work best.
Uh,
I kind of like my roundabout way of going, hey, let's do what you said, but then explaining why we can't do something else. Although it also is just kind of filler, isn't it? Filler's kind of nice. Everyone likes to be full.
okay. Jen, I can pass you my mask. Actually, hold on. 1, 2. You know, I could just try casting. You know, I could just try casting invisibility.
Oh, yeah,
There's a
yeah,
chance that might help.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
chance that might help. There's a chance that might help.
Okay. Okay. Violet is Rylet. Jin, but I think it's just best if you and I are more clumsy than Cielo, and sneakiness likes a nice agile person. So how about Jin gets the mask, I get a mask, Cielo turns invisible. Cielo turns invisible.
that could work, yeah. Yeah, that's a good plan. And then
I keep
Crimson,
forgetting.
he just, the
They're
guy
not
with the
after.
big- that could work, yeah. Yeah, that's a good plan. And then
I keep
Crimson,
forgetting. I keep forgetting.
They're not after.
The guy with the big... Oh, that's right, they're not after him. Nobody knows Crimson. The guy with the big...
They're not after.
Oh, that's right, they're not after him. Nobody knows Crimson in this.
I keep forgetting.
Crimson?
I keep forgetting.
Just, the guy with the big...
They're not after.
Oh, that's right, they're not after him. Nobody knows Crimson in this town yet.
Not yet.
Oh.
He's the smart one. He's the smart one.
I wonder what that's like.
Alright, so everyone okay with this plan? Okay.
I am okay with this plan.
It seems solid enough to me.
Alright. Alright. I will. So we hand mask to Jin. And I mask to Jin. And I will use 4 riblets to cast invisibility on Cielo once we get close enough to the gate. I will be using 4 riblets so I don't have to create an accidental banana man. I'm not paranoid, you're paranoid. Shut off.
Or you accidentally give him a third testicle, or he has no testicles.
Or change somebody's race and gender again.
Hey, that was only. I did that to myself. I only did the race thing to Cielo, and I gave him fucking wings.
Very, very sure.
I was going to correct him, but then I realized he was correct. It was the Baron that did this to me.
If I wasn't a lizard now, you could call me fucking Red Bull. And here I am arguing with a bird again.
Yeah, maybe you should stop arguing with the birds as we're trying to pass these guards. We don't want them to think we're crazy. You know, just for safety's sake.
Fine. Wait, what's in the third story that we need to deal with?
In the third what? We needed to buy a piece of real estate. In the third what? We needed to buy a piece of real estate.
Got it.
Yeah, since it's probably one of the more expensive ones, it's probably better to go there first so we can negotiate down on all the other ones.
So where we headed, Doc?
Just a building on the 3rd level. It just gives you an address. It doesn't say anything more than that.
And I relay that through Russell to Orin.
Perfect. Alright, worst comes to worst, we invoke the harpies again.
Yeah, they're so nice.
So, as you approach the checkpoint,
I will change my form with the mask to human height, so it's actually my own, and I lose the mustache.
Oh.
Look, if we have to fall back to Orin is getting fucked, I at least don't. I think it'd be easier without the mustache.
I don't know. I think it was a pretty fuckable mustache.
I at least don't. I think it'd be easier without the mustache.
I don't know. I think it was a pretty fuckable mustache. No, sorry. I will, however, think of some sort of cross between Guinness and his Morris, and I will become a halfling akin to them with super flamboyant outfits.
so did you roll for your invisibility spell?
I used riblets to make sure I could cast it.
Okay.
Also, just to use them. Well, anyway, look. And we'll just go up and say, "Hello, fellow human. We are here to engage in the activity of passing through gate. Beep, boop. You know, as humans do.
That seemed extremely human to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, fellow humans. Here is a fellow food, as we humans love our food." Okay, so the gate. Any issues?
I was apparently muted for that part because I added to that funny joke and it sounded like they were responding to me. Oh well.
Let's just get this over with.
When he's silent like this, I can't tell if he's thinking about ways to murdering us or if it just cuts out.
I know, right?
No.
When he's silent,
I'm sorry about that. So you guys wander across and you find that this address is a bookstore that is closed down.
Is it still full of books? Eh.
Yeah, it's everything on the inside is still full of books. There is a sign on the front that's saying go to such and such I can't think of what that's called. Realtor place for information.
Okay. God, I wish we could just ask him, like, hey, do you want any of the books? Can we, once we buy the place, can we keep the books? Or
Well, I'm
at least
sure
get first
not.
pick? Or at least get first pick?
Well, we could probably browse through. He did kind of give the money to Violet, so probably got to put it in not his name. Therefore, I think. I don't know how it works. I don't know what deal they made. But, otherwise he probably would have sent somebody he knew super easy to just go and slap the place with cash. Well, I guess maybe he did. That's us. Oh.
They might give it to her, but he might ask her to give it to him afterwards. Or who knows, maybe he's setting her up as like a puppet, or an ally to who isn't well known to be associated with him.
Well, if she's already a politician in Moonshire, right? Maybe he's helping help her political career by being a small business owner as well, or several small businesses. Maybe it's a political contribution.
I will send Russell to look for the realtor.
Funny side thought note thing. Maybe I wasn't far off.
Okay. The realtor shop of being familiar with this level is right down the street.
Perfect. This way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh wait, I'm just counting. I forgot the actual thing. Forgive me.
So who had a really long day? I had a long day. I'll walk at a moderate pace just so I can try to hear CeeLo's footsteps behind us because he's all invisible and stuff. I just want to make sure that he's still following.
Neil is taking extra careful precautions to be very, very silent.
I'll whisper over my shoulder, I can't hear you and I don't know if you're there, which means you're doing a really good job, or you're gone.
Violet follows Russell and waits for the rest of the group to get to the realtor's office.
Okay. You find the realtor shop not too far down the street. As you guys are approaching, give me a perception check, please.
Okay. Grab all my stuff up. There it is. Did I do that right? Did I do that right? Did I do that right?
Critical
Wow,
success is
nice.
pretty much right. So yeah.
Did I do that right?
Critical success is pretty much right. So yeah, probably.
It says I have a 12. I mean,
And
then
you rolled a
did it
natural
right.
20.
oh,
Good job.
all right.
Good job.
All right.
Bravo.
I'm reading it right. I mean, that's what my perception is. So, okay.
Yeah, I just went with the complete opposite side of the die.
I don't think I did mine right.
All right, Doc. That is a 15, a 12, an 18, a 6, or a 23, and a 32 from Crimson.
He sees time, he sees space, he sees what's in between.
I see all. Apparently.
Yeah, basically.
I'm gonna leave in really good rolls like that. You know, when we all do really boring stuff.
You're a glutton for punishment. Thanks for subscribing.
Thanks for subscribing, Darth Burt. Much appreciated. Executive producer actually contributing money to the show. Burn. And thanks, Cody, for letting him subscribe himself. I think that's how that happens. I don't think that was a gift. I think that was a choice that somebody made to be here. Much appreciated. Bert, you're home early.
So, Crimson, as you guys are approaching,
Or wait, did Cody actually subscribe for him? It was a gift, not a gift. Nice. Well, except for the coming in Saturday part. Oof. Oof.
who got the 23?
CeeLo.
Okay.
Well, at least you got to be home early. That's pretty sweet.
So, Crimson, as you guys are approaching, you see 6 of these guys walk out of a building and are kind of making guard stance. 2 on one side of the door, 2 on the other side, and then 2 out front, looking around. And CeeLo, you see this too.
Oh shit. 6 of them.
And then right behind them, Baron Kalchan Red steps out, and they circle him, and all of them turn and start going down the street farther.
But that's not a good sight right now.
No, it's not.
Oh, what could go wrong? Today's going so well.
They walk down further, and then they enter into a magic shop.
See, they're just trying to learn magic.
I
Maybe
highly
they can do some
doubt
card
that.
tricks.
Right. Let's scooch Crimson's forward a little bit. Line that up with the just right there. And we'll take this guy. Copy, delete, inch it back a little bit. And you see me leaning back so I can physically line it up on my screen. Because I'm at a horrible angle when I'm sitting this close to you guys.
See, they're just trying to learn magic.
I highly doubt that.
Maybe they can do some card tricks.
Those types of guys, I doubt it. They don't look like the magic wielding types. But then again, I could be wrong.
Maybe they're just trying to get special toys for their significant others.
I suppose that could be true.
Special toys. Look, it disappeared. Wait, hold on. Yeah, look, it disappeared. It's funnier in my head. Should have planned that better.
That's it. They're not mischievous. They're just real thirsty in their loins. They have moist mounds back at home.
I don't think that's how the magic finger works, Orin. It's a witch. It's a witch. Although it does hide a handkerchief, so maybe.
I fear what I've created, and I will try to enter the real estate place.
Okay. Greetings. How may I help you?
Yeah, fun story about the magic finger, though. I used to have one of those magic removable thumbs. It's pretty awesome. Mine was made of metal, and it didn't look anything like my thumb. In fact, the fingernail on this fake thumb looked like a lady's fingernail. And it was very narrow at the tip, and I didn't quite understand it. But it said thumb on the inside, so I knew it was a thumb. But I don't know whose thumb is like that.
I fly in behind.
It also said Hong Kong on the inside, so maybe the men there have daintier hands when they're performing magic. I don't know.
I fly in behind Orin and turn back into Violet.
Hello, sir. Oh, God, a bird killer! I'm kidding. My friend and I were interested in the closed down bookstore.
That is close to the properties. 20,000 gold.
I will turn to my shape change friend. Is how much gold did he give you, or is it just you? Or is it just you reach in and it magically appears?
If that's the case, we should keep
I'm half asking Violet. I'm half asking Doc.
She has no clue.
Well, interrupted so much we couldn't hear what he said.
She has no clue.
Well, Violet, I guess try to whisper. Try to pull out 20K.
I'm gonna open up one of the bags and start pulling money out of it.
Okay. You come up with 20K.
Okay, if there's like a special bag person that we can go to, I know that's not how it works, but there's your payment.
Okay.
They can tell we're serious, too. We didn't even try to negotiate. That's...
Yeah, no shit.
Anything else I can help you guys with?
Oh no, you've helped us quite enough. Thank you, sir.
Well, they're actually.
No, you've helped us quite enough. Thank you. Actually, we still need a lot of help, so instead of turning around and going back in your office, hang on for a minute.
Well, there actually was a couple more places, but I'm not sure that you would deal with them. They're on lower levels.
Yeah, I deal with all over the place. We have other branches that pick up properties, and I can sell and purchase from here too.
My God, we might not have to go across all the entire city. Holy crap, we can just
Relax, Orin.
I'm gonna ask her about the abandoned building and the place by the docks.
The abandoned building is 15,000, and the warehouse at the dock is 150,000.
Let's turn him down a little bit. He got a little loud in his excitement there. Effects, amplify, and then doop 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 doop. Ding.
Did you just say 150K?
even Russell's cloaca tightens at that. Both of us go.
Why, yes, it is a full service, ready to ready to open and run warehouse that can storage, receive, and process different things.
Oh, and it's right there on the docks, too, so it's got a great view. Oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to be helping them.
Jesus. Jesus. Jesus, 150K. I thought my engagement ring was expensive.
He thought his engagement ring. A small little piece of metal, a little band of gold, when they're using gold as a literal currency. Do you think that's expensive? That's a coin with a hole punched through it. It's not even a full coin. It's not even a full gold.
Oh, that's on the lower end. We do properties all over. We do properties all over the.
Well, granted, it's expertly crafted and it probably has a fancy rock in it, but it's less gold than one gold.
We do properties.
Probably a higher purity, right? I mean, that would make sense. Still, not even a whole gold.
We do properties all over.
In fact, I'd charge you 1.5 gold just for the effort of punching a hole through a coin.
We do properties all over. We do properties all over the. We do properties all over. We do properties all over. We do properties all over. We do.
If I'm going to cut out part of it, I should have cut out the whole part that I'm trying to cut out, right? Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, that's on the lower end. We do properties all over the. I just sold.
I just sold some oceanfront property in Arizona.
Quite a few properties in Oaks Rest.
Oaks Rest, you say, you bastard.
Quite a few properties in Oaks Rest not too long ago.
Oaks Rest, you say? You say? That place didn't burn down?
Yeah.
Place didn't... That bastard bringing in the storyline stuff, scaring the piss out of me and all, you know, all normal. Oaks Rest, you say?
Yeah.
Place didn't burn down? How's that town doing?
It's pretty much abandoned. I was surprised by the interest.
That's... Alright, I'm gonna walk outside and just wait for everyone else to deal with business.
I'll come with Jen.
I'm gonna reach into the bag of holding and start pulling money out again.
Okay.
Shit.
Or
Let me get those deeds ready for you.
Or we'll try to
Let me get those deeds ready for you.
Or we'll try to keep a straight face. Russell is just slack beak, like
What is CeeLo doing?
Cielo is currently, at the mention of Oakhurst, he's like watching Jin's facial reactions and stuff to try and get a read on how he's feeling.
Jin's gonna roll a bluff check to make sure that everyone thinks he feels just fine. That's an 18.
CeeLo, give me insight.
That's an 8.
You can't read me, CeeLo. You can't read me. My happy-go-lucky style is too confusing.
Yeah. He just looks like he needs some air. He just wants to read. He don't want to be in here and wants to go outside and stretch his legs a little bit.
Yeah, there's just a little of the fish market like stuck right here, and I was like, I had to walk outside and just knock it off my nose there. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not suffering a horrible childhood tragedy right now. It's we're good. Good to go. We're fine. Thanks for asking.
So I'm assuming I pulled enough gold out of the sacks.
Yep.
Alright, I'll grab the last few deeds and put everything into one of the bags and look at the guys. Well, no. Can I send a message or no?
Yeah.
Alright, I'll send a message to the Baron telling him that All of the properties have been acquired. All of the properties have been acquired in Crystal Cove and look at Jin and Cielo and ask if there was anything they needed to do in town before we left, and let them, or they know about the 3 properties in Moonshire, so I'll ask them if they'd like to go to Moonshire now.
Yeah. We still have some murders to solve over there. Maybe we should go there and do that. Buy some property. Yeah, retire. All that stuff.
I'm not exactly sure the institution that we were investigating those murders for would have us there in that regard.
Well, that's probably true, but we could at least find closure for some people and find justice for some others. Closure and justice. Should be a metal song. Closure and justice.
I'll include in the message that we'd like to use the mirror to return to, or to go to Moonshire now.
Okay.
And send it off to the Baron.
He replies that you guys are more than welcome to stop by the island and take the mirror. When you swing by, just drop off the 2 pouches, or just one of the pouches, and then the other one should have enough money.
Oh, that went smoothly.
Smooth as can be.
You're a little too smooth. Awkwardly smooth.
Like Russell's cloaca.
Giggity.
And, well, go ahead, Jin.
I was going to say that's not where you add a giggity, but wow.
Hey, don't king shame Russell. As far as you know, he could be an ancient face spirit. And the older you get, the kinkier you get.
Oh, yes,
Wow.
the Dr. Ruth of Ravens. Yes, I think I've heard of this one.
Now, if you
So-
put me, get the entire ferret up there.
So with that, I think we should stop for the night.
Okay.
It was a good ender. Had to keep it. All right. So, part 3 is 20 minutes and 27 seconds. We'll go ahead and export that. And then we will take a potty break. Right? Everybody needs a nice potty break. Part 3, save. Okay. When we get back from our potty break, we will move on to episode 7 of the Crone of Peebles Ranch. So, anybody that's just here to listen to D&D stuff, you're awesome and I love you because you're my biggest audience. But we're going to go into the entirely different thing that has nothing to do with D&D. Which is fine for me because I love hearing my mommy's stories. But I understand how some of you wouldn't. So, that's exported. Let me go ahead and open up the file so I have it preloaded for when we get back from our potty break. And then we will aforementioned potty break. Okay, episodes. Were we on 7 or were we on 5? I mean, 7 or 6. What did we upload last? Hold on, I gotta open up the... Since I maintain all of the episodes on the hard drive there. Delete nothing ever! YouTube. Pardon me. Videos. Last episode we did was 5. So that means 6 comes out this week. So we are definitely working on 7. Okay. Open with. Open with. Where's my open with? Open with. Choose another app. More apps. Where's Audacity? God dang. You know what? Cancel. Audacity. There we go. I know how to work computer good. I know what M's are doing. Blooped. 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 Momcast. Episodes 7. Loading. Alright, and now we will go to our potty break. Don't forget to wash your hands when you return, because don't be gross. And, I don't know, love each other, or something. Potty break! Okay, and we're back. So, Glad to see you stuck around, Doc. We're now on to the Crone of Peebles Ranch, so, you know, game's over. But that's okay. I assume Cody-sama is still here, but don't really care. And, yeah, who else we got? Robot. Oh, wow, depressing. All right, anyway, here we go.
This is episode 7.
Okay, she's a little quiet there, but you know what? Let's control, get all of that. Zoom in a little further because I think I got the. Yeah. Hold on, is this section bigger than this section? All the way to the beginning. All right, and then zoom out. One. All right, that's 7 seconds worth of. Nice. So this section. Effects, noise reduction, get noise profile, and then control all, generate noise reduction. Okay. She seems a little quiet there, so we're going to immediately boost the levels up a little higher before we even listen to it. Because if I'm having a hard time hearing her with just the sample bit, with the music turned down as low as it is, then people on their TVs and cell phones are not going to be able to hear anything. We also got to watch the levels because I don't know how much silencing I put on that. Quite a bit, it looks like. So, boom to boom, there to there. And then control this whole track. I'll just boost it from here.
Episode 7. This is episode 7.
Alright.
My grandfather told.
Let us boost it all a little bit more.
This is episode 7.
Alright.
My grandfather told.
You know what? Let's leave that in there just for people who are having it play in the background, right? That might be helpful.
This is episode 7. My grandfather told me that.
I can still hear some of the extra static noise.
That.
Don't know how to select frequencies that I'd want to cut out of it. I still have to learn how to use the spectrum analyzer to clean up audio better, but you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. Alright, let's turn the music down just a scotch more. You guys can't even hear the music at that level, so that's just for me, right? Yeah. I want to force you to listen to some of it. But what I want to do is send music out to stream, but me hear less of it. Oh well. Fuck it. Fuck it as well. We got this. That's all normal. Everything's good. All right.
My grandfather told me that the two most influential people in his life were both women. I suppose that's why, as a child, I was always told that I could do or be anything that I wanted to be. My granddad and daddy were men far ahead of their times when it came to women's rights and what a woman could and should do. And I think this very greatly stems from the women who were in my grandfather's life. Of course, the first and most important woman in his life was his mother, Mother Peebles. But
a little bit of that gap out of there.
but there was another woman who though she was only intimate in the family, well, in the family in New Mexico for 4 or 5 years, and though I know very little about her, she had a great effect upon my granddad and Uncle Henry. And as I said, I know very little about her. So I would like now just to take the opportunity to tell you as much as I know about Mammy Rose.
Mammy Rose.
Rose was bought by my great-great-grandfather, Henry Allen, as a child of 8, to be brought into the house as a slave. And when my great-grandfather, Grandpa Elijah, was born, Rose was about 12 or 13 years of age. And she was pretty much put in charge of being his nurse, taking care of him, and then later on being his nanny. Now, before the Civil War and during the Civil War in the South, it was illegal to teach slaves to read and write.
Breaking the law, breaking the law.
So Rose became very, very good at listening and memorizing.
Oh, well, that's not nearly as much fun.
She did learn to read and write, right along with Grandpa Elijah when he was old enough to learn to read and write. So by the time my grandfather knew her, she could. But Granddad said that she was an extraordinary storyteller, and that many a winter evening was spent sitting by the fire and listening to Mammy Rose tell them stories about their father and about their grandfather and about their great-grandfather and great-grandmother. And she...
Too many ands, Mom.
She learned these stories, part of them from experience, part of them from listening to people talk about themselves or listening to stories they told. But the stories, some of the stories that I found as a child to be most unbelievable were the stories that Mammy Rose told Granddad, and she had learned them from I can't count, what is it, great grandmother, my great grandmother, Lucy. So, I know that about her. I know that when my grandfather's grandmother, Nancy Margaret, came to New Mexico after Grandpa Elijah's death, she brought Mammy Rose with her. And Mammy Rose chose to stay for 4 or 5 years here before she returned back to Texas. At that time, grandmother Nancy Margaret was older, and needed a little bit of extra help, and around the house. It was getting harder and harder for her to take care of herself. And after Nancy Margaret died, Mammy Rose went to Moody, Texas, and lived out the rest of her life in the home of Aunt Nanny, who was my great-grandfather's sister, Nancy. She was married to Dr. Clay. And the older people, of course, Grandmother Lucy, Grandmother Nancy Margaret, Henry Allen, even my great-grandfather Elijah, and my great-grandmother, Mother Peebles, called Mammy Rose just Rose. But all of the children gave her the honorific, and it wasn't honorific. It wasn't to belittle her or because she was black or because she had been a slave. They called Nancy Margaret Grandmama or Grandma or Granny or whatever they called her. But Mammy Rose was Mammy Rose, and the Mammy was more of a title. And though she had been a slave early in her life, before she was 20, she was freed. She simply chose to stay with my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, and live in her household. So she was a paid servant. I assume that's what you would consider it. I don't know for sure that it. I don't know for sure what the arrangements were. I just know that she stayed with the family and she never married. Granddad said, though, that Mammy Rose didn't take sass from anybody, and that she was wicked with a switch whenever it was needed. So I am assuming that she was more a member of the family than a servant. A servant. Because I can't even in those days imagine a servant taking a switch to a young man because he'd misbehaved. So the stories that I will tell about Lucy and her husband Stephen, about Henry Allen and his two sisters and his brother, and the stories during the Civil War. Some of the stories during the Civil War come from letters, but most of them
only two buts
from letters. But most of them are stories that come from Mammy Rose. And when I speak of Mammy Rose, I want you to remember that I'm not being disrespectful by using that term. It was, in our family, a term of endearment. Okay, so that's all I know about Mammy Rose. I wish I knew more. I wish I had been able to speak more with my grandfather.
Hashtag Sam Feels Mom.
Or had known earlier in my life that I needed to ask more questions about her. But that truly is all I know about Mammy Rose. Now, my great-grandmother, she was known pretty much all over the county as Mother Peebles. Now, today, Lincoln County has about 20,000 people.
It's overpopulated.
20,000 people.
Town really can't support that many people
living here.
Thankfully, most of them are tourists and may leave.
When my great-grandmother, Mother Peebles, first came to New Mexico. New Mexico wasn't a state, it was a territory. And the county of Lincoln took in the southeastern corner, the whole southeastern corner of the territory of New Mexico. And you have to understand, at that time, when New Mexico was a territory, it included both the present-day state of New Mexico and the present-day state of Arizona. So there were...
And if you have any questions on how Arizona became a state, it's because we kicked those fuckers out. They're fucking weird. No offense, Arizonites, but no one likes you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, either 7 or 8 counties. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, either 7 or 8 counties in the territory of New Mexico. And Lincoln County covered.
Oh, my leg's asleep. Give me a second here. You gotta fix my leg. And my leg's stuck to the pleather. Oh, great. Damn you, artificial leather. Oh. I should really quit crossing my legs, but you know what? Right back up on the other side. Woo. My shirt's riding up, and it's all sweaty down my crack there. Awesome. That's how you know the ladies love me. I'm man enough to admit sweat down the crack.
Thousands and thousands of square miles. It was a quarter of what the state of New Mexico is now.
Oops.
Is now.
I don't know why I went after that part to delete it.
Was what Lincoln County covered. And at that time, the population of the county of Lincoln was probably also about 20,000 people. There weren't that many people who lived in the county.
Ooh. That's numb. Told you.
But Mother Peebles got her name because whenever there was an orphan or a child in distress,
she'd swoop in and make soup out of them.
people knew that they could bring the child to Mother Peebles, and she would care for that child until relatives could be found or something of that nature. Now, I've told you about the little girl Emma that Mother Peebles and Grandpa Elijah adopted before they had Granddad and Uncle Henry. But in about 1912. But in about 1912.
Got me.
Mother Peebles married a man by the name of Macmillan. Now, Mr. Macmillan had charge of
Right? What? It must be the Arizona part.
4 children. He had
I think slightly quieter. He had
one son from a previous marriage.
Unless you were calling it the, I know that's a noun by looking at it. In which case, also right.
One son from his second wife's first marriage. And 2 little girls from his second marriage to his second wife. To his second wife. To his second wife. His second marriage, to his second wife. And I'm sure he tried. And I'm sure he tried to be a good father, but what he really, really wanted to do was be a miner. So he married Mother Peebles, and they lived together probably somewhere between 3 and 6 months, and then Mr. Macmillan disappeared. Before the year was up, Mother Peebles divorced Mr. Macmillan and kept all of his children. So when I was growing up, I didn't realize that Granddad only had one full brother, because I had Aunt Emma and I had Uncle Henry, and then I had Aunt Becky and Aunt Selena. And I didn't know Uncle Arthur. I heard about him, but he died. He may have died from the Spanish flu, or he may have died from wounds or illness during World War I. I don't know. I know he went away as a soldier during World War I, and I don't know what happened to him after that. There are no records at all. As a matter of fact, I've only found, outside of his name, one artifact that we believe probably belonged to him. And then there was the second Uncle Henry Clary. And Henry Clary was Mr. Macmillan's stepson. So it was a big family, and you have to understand that Mother Peebles lived in what's called a dog run cabin. It was the kind of cabin that was very, very popular in Texas. It was a small log cabin, about 10 by 10. facing a second log cabin, also about 10 by 10, with the doors directly opposite. So if you open the door of both cabins, you could look from one cabin directly into the other cabin. And then tying them together was a lean-to. Now in Texas, it was an open air, so it would have a roof over it, but it was open to both sides, so a dog could run through it. That's what was called a dog run. And but here, Mother Peebles' cabin was built as a dog run, but the lean-to had both a back and a front wall, and a separate roof from either of the log cabins, and it was used as a kitchen, family joining, all the work gets done here type of stuff. The back wall had no windows. It just had the fireplace, and small
And mom.
and
Oh, that's an it's on
place, small cast iron stove that could be used for cooking, and tables and chairs for sitting and working and preparing food. And so it was the lean-to part of the cabin was actually the working part of the cabin, and then the two other cabins on the outside were for sleeping and storage and all of that kind of stuff. I do not know for sure, because all I ever saw was one of the cabins that was rebuilt when Mother Peebles built her new house, her fine stickwood house, in 1922. They disassembled both of the cabins, and they moved all of the good parts over across the creek by the pig pens and set it up as a corn crib. So I know that it had a very steep pitched roof. The cabins had a very steep pitched roof. So I know that it had a very steep pitched roof. The cabins had a very steep pitched roof, and it looked. I think probably they had a half loft in each one of the cabins, so there would be loft for storage or for sleeping, as well as sleeping on the ground floor. But so in this two room dog room cabin type setup, she had seven children that she more or less raised. And every once in a while, when somebody
raised hell and hang them by the rafters, by their toes.
When someone was sick and they needed someone to take care of their child, or when someone died and a child needed to be cared for until family could be found, or something like that, Mother Peebles was always there. And at least in this part of Lincoln County, she was the go-to person who would always take a child under her wing and raise them. I know when I was 17 or 18, I was at some event, and I can't remember now exactly what it was. I don't know if it was a Memorial Day picnic, or if it was a Labor Day picnic, or some other event. I know it was outside, and I know for some reason that year in attendance was a lot of older people who I'd heard their names, but I had never met them. I don't know, maybe it was some kind of old-timers reunion. I cannot remember exactly what it was. But I know that at least 3 women came to me and told me that for a time in that told me that for a time in their life, this is several months to several years, time in their life, several months to several years, they had lived with Mother Peebles. And this is why I know that my great-grandmother was called Mother Peebles by most of the county, is because these 3 women who at one time or another lived in my great-grandmother's household said that the entire county referred to her as Mother Peebles. So I've told you about Mammy Rose, and now I would like to tell you a little bit about the early life of my great-grandmother, Mother Peebles. She was born in 1860 in Ohio to Benjamin Lewis Breese.
You know what? No, we'll do it like that. I was thinking maybe I should leave that gap in there. But people will think the video's over. I would think the video's over. Screw it. Leave it in.
To Benjamin Lewis Breese and Martha Randalls Breese. And Benjamin was a blacksmith and a gunsmith, and Martha was a spinner and a weaver. So together, their 2 special skills provided a fairly nice income. Mother Peebles had 3 older brothers and was the youngest, I believe. I may be mistaken about that. I'd have to look at the dates. Enoch may be younger than Martha. I'm not sure. I mean, Enoch. Okay, strike that.
Oh, God. So I'm going to have to actually think about this edit.
Enoch may be younger than Martha. I'm not sure. I mean, Enoch. Okay, strike that. At least I think.
Okay, that was a mom note to me. Cool.
At least I think Uncle Enoch is younger than Mother Peebles. I'd have to go back and look at the exact dates to be sure of that. But I know that Leander was the oldest, and he was about 7 years older than Uncle Adam. And then there was Enoch, and then Mother Peebles. Her real name was Deborah Lynette Breese. And when she was about a year old, her father and mother loaded up a wagon.
Wagons east. Fuck this mess. We're going back to D.C.
With blacksmithing tools and the loom, which had been broken down, and a spinning wheel and carding combs and the rest of the family's possessions. They didn't have much. What they couldn't put in the wagon, they sold for supplies, and they headed west. There was a specific reason this happened, but I'll get into that more when I talk about Benjamin Lewis and Martha Randall's story. So for the second and probably most of the third year of her life, Mother Peebles lived in a wagon. And they would go from one settlement to the next, or one military post to one settlement, wherever they could find work as a blacksmith, or wherever they could find work spinning yarn into thread and then weaving it. People always needed blankets. They always needed cloth for shirts and things like that. Most of the time in those days, people wore more wool than cotton. Cotton was pretty expensive and only grown in the South. And 1861, 1862, 1863, the South was not shipping out much cotton. So they could only get cotton
by killing people and stealing it off their cold, dead bodies.
In the northern states where it might be grown, and those were
I guess that's more reasonable.
And those were pretty few and far between, but people did have sheep. And so they would trade raw materials, wool.
By the way, have you guys seen the prices for wool these days? My God. This 1 pound bag, it's like $30. Man, if I had my own sheep out there, I'd be shearing it right now to make some more felting projects.
For finished products, blankets and fabric for making shirts and pants. And Benjamin Lewis would set up an outdoor blacksmith under a tree somewhere and would make horseshoes and fix pots and fix plows and all the things that a blacksmith does. Not every village all the things that a blacksmith does. Not every village or settlement had a blacksmith. And though most military posts did have a blacksmith, they were oftentimes overworked.
And unionized.
Because of the number of horses that had to be shod and
shod. Remember, everybody, it's shod, not shoed. Shod.
The number of tools and implements that had to be repaired. But because Benjamin Lewis was also a gunsmith, he could almost always find work on a military post. And they would work long enough to resupply themselves with the foods that they needed, flour and coffee and sugar and dried meats and that kind of thing. And then off they would go till the next post. Well, eventually, going west from Ohio, you're going to run into the Rocky Mountains.
One would hope.
The Rocky Mountains. And Benjamin Lewis took one look at the Rocky Mountains and decided there's no way he was going to cross the Rocky Mountains. So he turned south.
The caddy that zigs. The Peebles name. That's my blood. Oh, look at that fucking mountain. No, fuck that. That's where we all get it from.
And eventually ended up in the headwaters of the Pecos River.
Saw that river and was like, ah, fuck. Mountains that way, rivers this way? Fuck it. Back north. We'll camp right here.
And I don't know if you know the stories of the Pecos River, but in that area was the ranch of John Chisholm. John Chisholm was a cattleman, and he had an enormous
Slong. Yeah, we need to make a game out of this. We'll pause it arbitrarily, and we'll take shots. We all get a guess. We'll have a shot poured, and whoever gets the guess right on what she says takes a shot, because getting it right is going to be so much harder, so much more entertaining.
herd of cattle and a large range to run them on, and pretty much no law and order.
Right, and getting the answer wrong on guessing what she's going to say next, I'd get people dead. That'd be irresponsible of me. So, getting the answer right, you get a shot. It's a reward shot.
To tell him that he couldn't do whatever he wanted to do. So, as they moved south, they moved on to the Chisholm Ranch, and one of the Chisholm cattle guards found them wandering southward and almost out of water and almost out of food, and took them to the Chisholm Ranch. Well, when John Chisholm found out that Benjamin Lewis was a blacksmith
/ gunsmith / all-around barras,
and that Martha could weave cloth, he told them that they had found a home and had small adobe house built for them and a blacksmith shop built for Benjamin Lewis. And for the next 3 or 4 years, it had been 4 years, they lived on the Chisholm Ranch.
and that's why Christopher shops at Chisholm's every day. Actually, that's not why. It's the closest store, and I like the store. The people are nice.
But in 1867, John Chisholm
Died of mysterious causes.
realized that he was not a well man.
Oh, well, maybe not that mysterious.
And he needed to go back to Texas and get some medical help. But he couldn't leave the ranch and all the cattle out there just to take care of themselves. And he didn't have anyone that he trusted to run the ranch for him. So he had a cattle drive. As a matter of fact, it was a very famous cattle drive. And if you want to know more about that, you can watch the John Wayne movie. You can watch the John Wayne movie by the name of Chisholm, and that tells you all about that cattle drive. Because Benjamin Lewis, the kids were getting older. Leander was 17, Adam was 10. Enoch and Deborah were at the age where they really needed to go to school. And Benjamin wanted all of his kids to have an opportunity to have good marriages. And so he went with Chisholm as the chief cattle guard, and Leander worked as a wrangler with the horse herd, and Adam was the cook's helper. And Martha and Mother Peebles, who was Deborah Lynette, and Enoch, John Chisholm put them on a stage and sent them to his home in Texas to wait for them to finish with the cattle drive and then come and join them. And from that time, so 1867 until 1883, the family settled down and had a farm in Texas.
Mom, that's a dark secret that I don't want out on the internet.
In Texas.
Ugh. Don't tell them that.
In Texas. And they all married. And they all married and ended up coming back to New Mexico. Now, while he was here, Benjamin Lewis did a lot of traveling, and he knew about the part of Lincoln County where I live now, and knew he wanted to settle in this area. And so in 1883, he brought the entire family and their spouses back to New Mexico and homesteaded. I don't know exactly how Grandpa Elijah and Mother Peebles met. I do know that they were traveling together toward New Mexico to homestead when they married at the home of Grandpa Elijah's cousin.
Gosh dang it. Select. Thank you. Oof, it is getting damn toasty in here. Just gotta jiggle out some of that heat. Yeah, put one of them box fans directly under my desk. Need to go get an ice pack as soon as we finish this file.
Who lived right on the Texas-New Mexico border. I have my suspicions about how they met. I just can't say absolutely for certain. I do know that when they left Texas, they weren't married. Well, when they left the farms where they were living, they weren't married. But they were married by the time they got to the homestead in New Mexico. Their early life is a story that I will get to on another night when I'm talking about how the family homesteaded and how the Peebles Ranch originally got started. So, good night for now, and I will see you another evening at story time.
Yeah. All right, that's episode 7, guys, of Crone of Peebles Ranch. If you are interested in my mother's family history podcast thing, you could who's it, what's it's there with the exclamation point in the YouTube into the chat there, and that's if you're not already subscribed to it, because you probably are if you're here. EPI 7 save. Okay, so we're gonna export that, then we will we'll take another quick break because I gotta find my ice pack. I'm dying here. And we'll come back and do episode 8 and then we will be done for the day. File, new, and then close, and then yes, and then full screen, and then boobity boop, open, up, 8, this one, okay. Alright, so we'll get that loaded, and everybody has a chance to find your ice packs and do things, and who's the what's-its, all copy, paste, spectrogram, half the screen, other half the screen. Yeah, alright, so potty break there, and yeah, I don't care if you wash your hands this time, but you know, don't tell anybody. I won't tell anybody. If you got one, get an ice pack. It's getting warm, guys. It's getting warm. Well, I hope you made it back. If you didn't, that's cool too. Anybody sitting there playing video games and not actually watching, I'll take that lurk. And I'll love that lurk. We love all of our lurkers here, except for that guy. You know who you are. And we will get back into... Oh, that's a nice ice pack. We'll get back into this. We're going to mute this channel, right? All right. And then we go here. Generate. Actually, let's listen to it first. Well, let's pause our music. Pause our music. I was pretty loud static. You guys can't hear. That's not even showing up there, but you could see it up here on the playback level. Noise reduction. Get noise profile. Select everything. Actually, gosh dang it. Select everything. Noise reduction. And okay. Now, I have a clone copy of the track, and that slows me down a little bit in selecting things, but it makes it so I can see frequencies, which I have no use in seeing because I don't know how to edit and work with those at this point in time. But we are still learning. Am I talking? Yeah, you guys can hear me. Yeah, we'll play this before we get into getting the music back on. But just want to see how much silence we can cut out of it. Mother is using the Shure MV7, the newest of the Shure microphones with that USB. I highly recommend the microphone. It works really well. She's sitting in bed doing this kind of thing, and she's got the microphone like this far away from her when she's recording this. So it works really, really well. And when you're right on that microphone, it sounds just like the SN7B. So if you're looking for a good microphone for personal use, I would recommend that one. Sounds great. Sounds just like this one, but $200 less. Also has XLR and USB. So if you are in the market for a good microphone, hashtag not sponsored, hashtag wish I was. Oops, let's play this part before we delete it. Okay, the silence is really cut out mostly on that. There will always be ambient room stuff, especially when you have somebody that's not setting it up correctly, like myself. I just plugged her microphone into a Tascam something, and just to hit that button to record. And she's like, okay. And so, sitting way back there, it still sounds, pretty nice. In fact, it sounds like
I've told you a little bit about
that, but louder.
I've told you a little bit about my great-great-grandfather, Benjamin Lewis Breeze. And I've told you a little bit about grandfather's grandfather, the old Indian man who taught Uncle Henry and Granddad how to survive on the mountains and how to hunt and how to train horses. So now I would like to tell you how these two groups became friends. In 1883,
99 years before I was born,
the Breeze clan came back to Homestead in New Mexico from Texas after the children had all grown up and gotten an education and got married. I kind of have to explain a little bit of some relationships to you. Adam Breeze married Martha Peebles, so she became Martha Peebles Breeze. And Martha Peebles and Breeze.
She said Breeze really quiet there. So we're going to try to bump that up just a scotch.
Breeze.
Oh, well, that's way too much of a scotch. Put that down at
Breeze.
Somewhere in between those two.
Breeze.
Okay.
Martha Peebles Breeze. And
well, you can tell it was edited, definitely, but from nearly inaudible to Breeze.
Elijah Peebles married Deborah Lynette Breeze.
And technically, I could copy that Breeze and paste it back where the other one. You know what? I don't have to worry about lining up audio. So we'll go copy.
Breeze.
And we'll paste that there. Because we have the technology. It's really hard to do that on the D&D game because everything shifts a little bit. But just here, one track, super easy.
Martha Peebles Breeze. And Elijah Peebles married Deborah Lynette Breeze. So Adam's sister married
something Breeze. Hold on, I think I just got a package delivered. Reply to this message. Okay, hold on. Out of stock in my item. Oh no. Hold on. Just checking my email real fast. No, I don't want to enter a sweepstakes, even if it is for something awesome. Hey, new show, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, Philly D. What else we got? What else we got? What else we got? Subscribe and save. What is out on my subscribe and save? Oh no, my cup of noodles. No, that's fine. I'm good with that. Delete. Yes. What else is on the... God damn it, no. Skip. Skip. What is all this? No, just check my email, please. HomebrewCon. That sounds fun. Barn Recluse is live. Ooh, good to know. I love that guy. He's great. Alright, that's all my email. Come on. Go away. You go away. You go away. You go away. Everyone goes away. Alright. Sorry. My evil Amazon device made a noise. It's my package got delivered noise. And I was like, what the hell? It was not a package getting delivered. It's an email saying, hey, we ran out of shit. Which is fine. Which is fine. Alright.
Sister married Martha's husband. No, Martha's brother. Husband. No, Martha's brother. Married Martha's brother.
You can tell I'm getting tired because I'm getting exceptionally distracted.
So it was brother and sister marrying brother and sister.
Gross. Even if you know it.
And when they got here, I've told you a little bit about
What the hell? Why would it start over? Like, that's weird.
Benjamin Lewis bought a failed homestead. He wanted to have homesteads that were on running water, on a creek. And there weren't any left open that were not already taken up. So he spent the money to buy a failed homestead, probably from Murphy and Dolan over in Lincoln. Now, those are crooks. I'll talk about it another time. But Benjamin Lewis knew what kind of people they were and knew how they worked. And so he was able to
Swindle the swindlers.
get around their crooked ways, knowing what they were going to try to do. Elijah and Deborah homesteaded the land right next to Benjamin, which had just a tiny bit of creek in it. And Adam and Martha went up the creek about 2.5 to 3 miles and homesteaded almost at the head of Little Creek. Today, the part that the homestead they homesteaded is surrounded totally by national forest, because they proved out the homestead so it became private land instead of forest land. And today it's called Via Madonna. So they got here and they started proving out their homesteads. That means they had to clear land and have a certain amount of land within 2 years in crops. In those days, there was enough rain up here.
Oh, rain. I would love some rain.
In those days, there was enough rain up here in the summertime that you could grow oats and corn pretty easily. So they had the crops of oats and corn, and they built a barn. Not the barn that's out there now. Only about a third of the barn that's out there now was the barn. They built the dog run cabin for Mother Peebles, a dog run cabin for Mother Peebles, Deborah Lynette, and Elijah. They built wood sheds, goat pens, sheep pens, corrals for the cows, the milk cows, smithy shop for Benjamin Lewis, and pig pens. And of course they had a smokehouse and all those kinds of outbuildings. And because they had Leander's homestead was to the east of Benjamin Lewis's homestead. So they had 4 homesteads, all very, very close together, so they could all work together, building the buildings and clearing the land in order to plant the crops. The trees they cut down, they used to make the log cabins, to make the buildings. And they used the oxen that pulled the wagons. The oxen pulled the wagon that pulled the wagons to pull the stumps up out of the ground. Pull the stumps up out of the ground to clear the ground. And also they used oxen the first couple of years. They had horses as well, but they used the oxen to break the ground because oxen are much stronger, and they can pull plow and break ground much easier than horses can, even draft horses. So they got here in the spring, worked all summer building the buildings and clearing the land so that the next year they could plant crops. And in the fall, in late October or early November, they had everything pretty much in order, but they didn't have any supplies for the winter because they had probably used up most of what they had brought with them. I'm sure the women raised gardens, but they were pretty small, and in those days they really didn't have a way to can do home canning and can vegetables and fruits and stuff like that they had grown. So the crops they had were winter root crops that would store over the winter. They had carrots, I'm sure, and parsnips and turnips and
Lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
And potatoes. Probably they had cabbages, which last a long time, and some other vegetables that would get them most of the way through the winter. but they didn't have flour or sugar or any of those things. So they had saved money back from the expenses that they had in building the homestead. Anyway, it's early October. It's early it's Anyway, it's early October, I mean late October, early November, and the men decided to take a wagon and go to the Mercer at Fort Stanton. The Mercer, kind of the forerunner of a mercantile. And they would have all of the different kinds of supplies, spices and coffees and teas and flour and cornmeal and the things that you would need to survive the winter. The men had taken a wagon and gone to Fort Stanton, which is about 10 miles down the canyon, across the mesa, and down into the Bonita River drainage area. And we're going to be gone overnight to buy the supplies that they needed and then come back to the homesteads. While they were gone, Martha, up in her cabin, 2 miles up the creek from everyone else, looked out of her cabin door one morning, and there are 7 or 8 Apache sitting on their horses outside the door. Well, she was pretty frightened because she was there alone with just her baby. And so she closed and bolted the door and stayed inside. And the Apache stayed on their horses. They didn't attack or anything like that. They sat on their horses all morning, and then they got off their horses and sat on the ground and let their horses graze all afternoon. And when dusk came, they disappeared. But she was too afraid to do anything or go anywhere, so she stayed in, and the next morning they were there again. So again, that day, she stayed in the house. But about noon that day, they rode off. And she waited a couple hours, and they didn't come back. And so she took her baby, and she walked, but because she was carrying a baby, and it's 2 miles, and she had long skirts, but I'm sure she walked as fast as she could, the 2 miles down the creek to her mother-in-law's house. And she told her mother and her mother-in-law and her sister-in-law what had happened, and they all went to one cabin and locked themselves in one cabin. Well, before dark, the Indians, the Apaches, the Indians, the Apaches. Well, before dark, Apaches. Before dark, the Apaches showed up again outside of the Benjamin Lewis Breese's cabin, where the women were all hiding. They sat on their horses and waited and did nothing else. They just sat on their horses and waited. Well, the next day, about noon, the men showed up on on the wagon with the supplies and all the weapons. And the Apaches just sat there and waited for them to come. And when the men got there, one Apache man got off of his horse, leaving his gun behind, and he walked forward and waited for the men to come and talk to him. And what he told them was this: your house is on you're building your homestead on our hunting grounds. We come every year here at this time because it is a good place to camp, to go and hunt. And we camp there on the top of yonder hill. And they said, we have no problem with you being here if you have no problem with us coming here to hunt. As a matter of fact, we all have guns, but we have no ammunition for our guns. So if you will provide us ammunition, we will take you with us and show you the best way to hunt in the mountains. And we will have meat for the winter, and you will have meat for the winter. Benjamin Lewis thought about it for a few seconds and decided it sounded like a pretty good deal for him. To him, he would much rather have the Apache be his friend and come and hunt with him than he would to have the Apache be his enemy and come and raid and take what they wanted. So the men agreed that they would hunt together, and Benjamin Lewis and Elijah and Leander and Adam looked at how much ammunition they had, and they gave some to the Apache, took some themselves, took their bedrolls, and
Pardon me. Hey, raise your hand if you're still in chat.
their weapons and their horses, and told the women, the winter supplies is in the wagon. We're going hunting to bring home meat. You need to unload the supplies. So the Apache men and the...
Nice to have at least one person. Thanks, Doc.
Brees family went off and they went hunting.
You find the story interesting so far?
And they came back with enough venison for the Apache to have meat for the winter, and also for the Breeses to have meat for the winter. And what they did is they butchered and they ate fresh meat for a while, and they dried or salted and put away for the winter the rest of the meat. And then they stretched the deer hides so that the hides could be tanned, so that they would have leather for repairing harnesses and that kind of thing.
Nowadays, there's not much hunting around the area, but you hang out the window with the baseball bat, you can catch yourself an elk. They come real close. I ain't got no fucking fear of those guys.
Well, the next fall came around, and here come the Apaches again. And again, they have no ammunition for their weapons, and they're ready to go hunt. And they did this every year.
Man, that'd be nice. Just go anywhere. Just like, I got a gun. You got ammo? And it's like, yeah, I got ammo. And like, go out and have fun. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. Good enough. I'll take it.
The Apache would come and hunt with the Brees family every fall until the fall that Elijah was killed in 1904. That's why when grandfather's grandfather found out that Grandpa Elijah was dead, he took the boys in hand and taught them what they needed to know. By 1904, well, actually, I think it was probably about 1895, 1896, the Murphy-Dolan group in Lincoln had discovered that Benjamin Lewis Brees had information and knowledge which could, if he shared it, put them in jail. So basically what they did is they came and told Benjamin Lewis and Leander and Adam that if they didn't want to share the same fate as Billy the Kid did, they would leave the county. The Coe brothers were told the same thing. And so at that time, Benjamin Lewis and Leander and Adam moved to Washington State and homesteaded in the Seattle area. But Elijah was a pretty stubborn Scot, and nobody was going to run him off his land. He had worked too hard for it, and so he refused to leave. It's my belief that that's why he was killed. Now, many years later, after I was an adult, I found out a little information about grandfather's grandfather that I did not know as a child. Grandfather's grandfather was an Indian scout for the U.S. Army. And his scout name was Old Scout Big Mouth.
That's a horrible scout name.
Was Old Scout Big Mouth. He
apparently was a doctor with that name.
He worked for several years for the Army. And that's why he could speak English. And that's why the Apaches who ran with him all had weapons.
Pretty fair.
He was not a big man, but he had a big, big heart. And he was very wise in his ways. And now I want to share a little bit. When grandfather's grandfather would come to visit us in the fall, he would spend most of his time talking with Granddad and with Daddy, and I'm sure that they were sharing stories of days past and things that they remembered and stuff like that. But at the end of his visit, every time, he would stop talking to Daddy and Granddad, and he would talk to me because my brothers were young enough that they weren't allowed to sit with him for long. But I think the last couple of years, Jim was also there. And grandfather's grandfather told me 2 stories. And with each story, he told my grandfather and my father to repeat these stories to me until I could repeat them back, and so that I would remember the stories because they were important. So I want to share now one of these stories, and the other one will be probably an episode all by itself. This is a story of the mountain gods, as told to me by grandfather's grandfather, and by my grandfather, and by my father.
Oh God, I love this story. It gives me chills.
Before
I think this is the same story.
the Apache moved to the sacred mountains,
Yes, this is the story. Yep.
they lived in what's now the Tularosa Valley and down into Mexico in the area that's called Chihuahua. But they didn't come to the mountain except for very special ceremonies, because they knew that Apaches before them had come to the mountain and had never returned from the mountain. So they were a little bit afraid of it. But the Apache had a really ferocious enemy, and that enemy's numbers were growing and growing because the white man was moving into Texas and pushing their enemy, the Comanche, into the Apache territory. And one band of Apache was being attacked by the Comanche, a much larger force of Comanche. And so they were trying to avoid them, and they came toward the mountain. And as they came up the mountain, trying to avoid the Comanche, trying to stay ahead of them, they had with them 2 young men. One of the young men was blind and had been blind from birth. The other young man was lame. He had been injured in a fall. And these 2 young men decided that they were holding the band back and preventing them from moving as fast as they could, because someone had to help each of them. Someone had to guide the blind man, and someone had to help the lame man walk. So they talked between themselves, and they decided it would be best if they were left behind. So they told the leaders of the tribe, help us find some place to hide, a cave or something, someplace where we can hide from the Comanche when they come, and leave us behind with some food and some water, and go and find a safe place until the Comanche quit following us. And then you can come back and get us. So they looked around and they found a cave, and it was a pretty deep cave. And so they took the young men back to the back of the cave, and they left them with water and with some food, and they said, we'll return for you when we can. And they left them behind. Well, the young men stayed in the cave for several days, and they were very careful to eat only a little bit of food every day and only drink as much water as they needed to have. And they told stories to each other to pass the time about when this person did that or that person did that, and how funny this was and how sad that was, and how they hoped that their band was doing well and outrunning the Comanche and finding a safe place. And this went on for some time, and finally they ran out of food, and their water was getting low, and they had no way to get more food or more water because they could not leave the cave. And then one day they started hearing noises outside the cave, and they were afraid because they didn't know if it was the Comanche or wild animals or what it could be, because they knew that if their band came back for them, they would call and announce themselves. And no one called and no one announced themselves. And very gradually, the light at the mouth of the cave got less and less and less and went away. And they still kept hearing these noises. And then all of a sudden, just a little ways in front of them, a fire burst forth. And they saw, well, they weren't sure exactly what they saw. They saw 5 figures that looked like men with horns, and each one of them had a mesquite sword in his hands, and they danced around the fire. 4 of the men were black, or 4 of the beings were black, and they had some kind of symbol painted on their chest in white. And one of the beings was white and had horns and mesquite swords in his hand and black symbols on his chest. And they danced and they danced and they danced up the wind and they danced up lightning and they danced and they danced and they danced. And just as it was beginning to get light at the mouth of the cave, and just as it was beginning to get and just as it was beginning to get light at the mouth of the cave, they disappeared. The young men talked this over among themselves. Between themselves. There were only 2 of them. Among themselves. Between themselves. There were only 2 of them. Between themselves. Between themselves. And tried to decide what they'd seen. And they decided that hunger and thirst had made them a little delirious. And so they laughed at themselves and they laughed at each other. And they said, well, we're getting weak and we're getting delirious and it looks like we're going to die in this cave because our tribe has not come back for us. Our band has not come back for us. So perhaps we should make our peace and realize that we're going to die here. But we certainly hope that our band has found a safe place. And so we'll think of them and we'll think good thoughts, and we'll hope that they live on and that they'll remember us. That's what they did through that day. And then the light again began to fade at the mouth of the cave. And when it was fully dark, the fire burst forth again. And there were the 4 black beings and the 1 white beings, and again they danced. And as they danced, there was a whirlwind in the cave. And as they danced, the white being struck a rock and then beckoned to the young men to come forward, and they were frightened. But when they stood up, the blind man realized he could see, and the lame man realized he could walk. And so they walked to the white being, and they walked between the rock where he showed them to walk. When they got to the other side of the rock, they realized that their old and tattered clothes had disappeared, and they had on new clothes, new buckskins, new shirts, and in their hands were bows, and in their quivers strung on their back there were arrows. And they walked out of the cave, and it was morning. And the beings walked before them, motioning them to come, to follow. And so they followed them. And they followed them down a valley and up a hill and across a ridge. And then the beings stopped and pointed. And in the distance, they could see the smoke coming up from fires. And they could see lodges built around the fires. And they turned around to ask the beings, "What is this? What do we see?" And they discovered that they were alone. And so they walked to the village, and they found that it was their band. And their band was amazed to see them. They had thought that they would be long dead by now. And they were amazed to see that the lame man could walk and that the blind man could see. And these two young men taught the band the dance that they had seen the beings do. They danced, and as they danced, whirlwinds came around them, and clouds came in, and lightning, and it rained on top of the village. And the village prospered. Living in this valley, the village prospered, and they grew to great numbers. And every year, they remember to dance the dance of the mountain gods in thankfulness that they were welcomed and blessed as they came humbly into the sacred mountains. And that's the story of the mountain gods. Of the mountain gods. To this day, on the 4th of July, when they have the big powwow at Mescalero, the dance of the mountain gods is performed by members of the Mescalero tribe. Many, many tourists come in because they're fascinated by this wonderful dance as the drums pound and the five dancers dance. But only the Apache know the story. And to them, the dance has a meaning of almost religious significance. Every Apache child is taught the story of the mountain gods. And I feel honored that grandfather's grandfather thought so much of our family that he would tell us the story so that we would understand the significance of the dance of the mountain gods.
Woo! And that's a lot of New Mexico history. So, we're going to go ahead and save that there and call it a night, guys. I want to thank all of my lurkers, but mostly I want to thank my... Hold on, let me delete this other file we don't need. I want to thank my mom. Come on, give it up for Mom. Sharing stories like that. Man, that's a good story. Episode 8. Save. Exports. Okay. No, I'm full-blooded Caucasian. But when Grandpa died, when my grandfather died, after all of these stories and all of this, she'll get into it at some point. He was helping out some guy, I can't remember his name. He owned the mountain and he wanted to build a ski slope, and at some point he had given it to the Apache, to the local Apache tribe, to the Mescalero, and he had died on the mountain helping them build the ski run. And at that point my mom was 12, I think 12ish. And the Apache had adopted her. So, you know, like, well, adopted, she still had mom, she still lived here, still lived white life with all the privileges thereupon. But they're like, oh, your dad died helping us, so you're one of us now. So technically, no Apache at all in the blood, but Apache in the soul. It's one of the reasons I love New Mexico so much, because they're damn good people. Damn good people. Don't believe what you see on those fucking crime dramas and fake cop shows. But with all of that said, I think we're done. We're done. We might come back for 2 more episodes tomorrow. Won't guarantee it. I gotta fix the whole time lag, voice lag thing, or the video voice lag thing. And I mean, that's 2 episodes, so that's 2 weeks into the future beyond this Saturday. Done on that. So I don't really need to come back, and we've got up to episode 12 on the hard drive, and she's got 2 or 3 more episodes on her recording device she left here for her vacation. So I mean, we're pretty much set on how many we have. It's nice to have a little extra content for the stream, so I don't want to push it too hard and get extra on of them done. Although I do use that as an excuse not to get into the barn to do actual work, so maybe I should get as much done as possible tomorrow. I don't know, we'll figure it out then, but for right now, we're out. Outish. Outies. Outies, patouties. Oh. That was supposed to be the other end screen. The one where I'm not in it. Oops. Well. Night, buddy. And thank you for hanging out, Doc. I wish other people would have. Cody, wanting to hear all the mom's stuff. Cody. Cody. But that's fine. I had Doc, and Doc is my co-pilot. Again, I want to thank other people that showed up and at least hung out. Bert for the fucking sub. Legit felt it. Okay, Cody. You don't pick a hat, you don't get to use it anymore. You gotta pick the hat. You don't pick the hat, you're not getting your reward. That's the rule now. Cowboy. Alright. Fits the theme of the night, right? Oh, come on. Technically not a cowboy hat. Technically it is still just a fedora. But, you know, hey. I live in New Mexico and it looks fucking good on me, so. The Doc picked it, so it's good enough. As long as it got picked, that's fine. Man. Oh, let me hit the timer on that. We don't actually have to sit here through the entire timer, but we could if we wanted to. Looks kind of cool with a idiot wearing a fedora with a big giant spider behind him, right? It's kind of neat. Giant fucking headphones on there. I don't need to listen to this music. I can take this shit off. Since we're done, I'll just plop this up over here. Oh, you know what? I can go there and look all pretty. Yeah, it's good. So, guys, are we streaming tomorrow? Do you want to hear more of this tomorrow? If we do it, we're doing 3 or 4 episodes, because Those go fast. I know there is an episode in the files that is an hour long, but I believe that's 2 stories split or recorded in one sitting. So, I mean, that's possible as well. But if you guys want to hear more of the Crone of Peebles Ranch tomorrow, just send me something right now in the chat and I'll be here. Otherwise, I'm gonna take the day off. Right? Tomorrow's Thursday? I don't need to be here. You don't need to be here. We've all got something to watch on the YouTubes, I assume. But if you want content before whatever content you're going to watch, you know, slap it up there to, yeah, might as well, or something. I don't know. Also, hey, for the hat thing, I feel stupid wearing these hats. This is truly a reward for you. But if you want to make me feel even more stupid, recommend me some other hats to buy and or have at hand. Because I do have a hard hat. I've got to clean the name off of it with some mineral spirits. But I wouldn't mind wearing that. Looks terrible on me. Big old white hard hat. With my already, you know, you wouldn't be able... I would look like a dick, guys. A big albino penis. If you want me to look like that, you gotta write it down there. Jester hat? Ooh, jester hat would be good. I could do a jester hat. Extra bells and shit. Yeah. One of the ones that has the wraparound thing there, or just like a straight stick it on kind of thing. I mean, yeah, that'd be good. Thinking black and white. None of that purple and green shit. Purple and green don't really match my match my face there. You got the face for purple. Purple. Actually, the green would probably chroma out as well, so it has to be black and white. Or red and blue. I don't know. I have to Google Amazon search jester hat. But I'll make a note of that. Wrap around red and yellow. Okay. Red and yellow. We could do that. If you already have one in mind, send me a link in the Discord to it on an Amazon or something. If it's reasonable. I do have a top hat that I was going to purchase at some point. Because I have these little tiny top hats that I think would be awesome if you glued them on top of a real top hat. So you could wear a top hat with a top hat. And then if I put it in like a magnet or something, I could tip my top hat. That way I wouldn't be breaking the 5-minute rule thing of wearing the hat. Nah, kind of thing. That'd be pretty funny. I don't even know why I thought of the hat. Well, no, I didn't even think of the hats. The hats was already part of the default channel rewards, and that's why like, oh yeah, I've got a shit ton of hats. I can make that happen. And then I only brought 2 over. I need to find my fucking Plague Doctor mask, so we can make that an option too, because I sound like this when I talk through the Plague Doctor mask. Well, slightly less Sean Connery, but roughly the same. I don't know where the fuck it is, though. I thought it was right here behind my screen. No. Anyway, are we done yet? Oh, we got 30 seconds left on this fucking timer. So, as soon as this timer... Russell Top Hat. I don't know what that is. I don't know my hats as well as I should. So, whatever that is. I was thinking more steampunk. Or if I could find a diesel punk. If I could find a nice diesel punk top hat, that'd be fucking sick. But, none of it. We're done wearing the hat in 3, 2, 1. Cool. We'll put that there for right now. I've actually got a real cowboy hat over here on the floor somewhere. I think it's a little small for my head, but I could size it up with some water and whatever. I have a real cowboy hat and then the fedora hat. And then I got a couple of baseball caps and trucker caps. I've got all kinds of hats. So we can make this a thing. I just have to find a nice way to store them so that I can call upon them when necessary. But for now, we're done. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Remember, everybody, wash your hands and keep washing your hands. I don't care how long over the pandemic is. Keep washing your fucking hands. That's what got us the pandemic in the first place. Hashtag opinion, not science.